18 September 1931, Manchuria. The Japanese army, without the approval of its own government in Tokyo, pours into the northern Chinese province after the Japanese-owned railroad is sabotaged near the city of Mukden. Chinese resistance is light and disorganized. By early 1932, the Japanese are firmly in control of the province. The lack of Chinese resistance is in large part due to the bitter civil war engulfing the country. Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist forces are battling the rebel communists led by Mao Zedong. The Generalissimo is more concerned with fighting Mao than facing the Japanese forces in the north. In February, the Japanese declare Manchuria independent and install the puppet state Manchukuo. The League of Nations condemns the move, but is too weak and fractured to do anything about it. Chiang continues to direct the majority of his forces against the communists, despite continued border skirmishes with the Japanese until 7 July 1937, when Rising Sun forces, claiming they have been assaulted, launch an all-out offensive on Peking. A vicious battle ensues, but by the 28th, the enemy is in control of the ancient Chinese capital. On 13 August, Japanese land, air, and naval forces launch an assault on the vital central coastal city of Shanghai, throwing 200,000 troops against the city. The Chinese resist fiercely for nearly 3 months, until 8 November, when the Japanese wrest it from their control. Advancing inland, the Rising Sun forces quickly conquer nearby Suzhou and Hangzhou to the south. They drive up the Yangtze River toward the provincial capital, Nanking. As the enemy draws near, Chiang moves the capital east to Chongqing. The Japanese air forces viciously bomb the civilian sectors of Nanking. Their army routs the undertrained, outgunned Chinese defenders. The fall of the city on 13 December sparks a wave of atrocities by the victorious Japanese. Troops rape thousands of Chinese women and force thousands more into sexual slavery. Some 40,000 Chinese civilians are tortured and killed. Women and children are buried alive. The world is outraged and condemns this rape of Nanking. Throughout 1938, the Japanese advance continues. They drive south toward the Yellow River. In central China, they drive inland, up the Yangtze as far as Hankow, which they occupy on 25 October. Although their forces are advancing with relative ease, they seldom win a decisive victory. The Chinese virtually melt away before them, only to reappear as guerrilla units harassing their flanks. By the end of 1939, Japanese leaders are beginning to realize a quick victory will not be possible. They decide to stop their advance, offer Chiang peace terms, and reap the economic rewards of the areas already under their control. Chiang flatly refuses all offers of peace. The Japanese react by enforcing a strict air and naval blockade, denying the Chinese badly needed supplies. Chiang, meanwhile, is content to sit. He is carefully watching the outside world and believes the Japanese aggression and the events in Europe will soon catapult the world into war. With that war, Chiang believes, will come the allies he so desperately needs, and a chance to truly combat the Japanese occupiers. 23 August 1939, after months of secret negotiations, the world is stunned as Germany and Russia announce they have signed a treaty of non-aggression. The former arch-enemies agree not to attack one another or to support any third party that might attack the other. Although the animosity and distrust between the two still remain, Hitler and Stalin both see real advantages for themselves in the unlikely pact. For Hitler, it is the key to Poland. Having pushed Britain and France to their limit in Czechoslovakia, Hitler fears that an invasion of Poland will bring both of them into the war in Poland's defense. This agreement, he is sure, assures him of the domination of Europe by avoiding Germany's fate in World War I of a two-front war. If he has to get in bed with the communists to do so, it is a small price to pay. Ensuring Russia's neutrality in such a war would mean he could concentrate all of his newly acquired military might on Western Europe. With Britain and France under his boot, it would be easy to turn his forces loose on the Bolsheviks. Stalin, left out of the negotiations over the fate of Austria and Czechoslovakia, believes that the West is conspiring against him. The Russian dictator sees the pact with Hitler as assurance he will not have to face a united Britain, France, and Germany. Though he does not trust Hitler and believes he will have to confront him eventually, he hopes this pact will buy him the time he needs to build up his armies. The leaders of the Western democracies, who had always imagined that Russia would serve as a kind of insurance policy against the Nazis, are left facing Hitler's ever-increasing armies alone. They know they risk total defeat by declaring war in the defense of Poland, but their naivete about the wisdom of appeasing Hitler has faded. They believe that with the strokes of their pens, Hitler and Stalin have signed away any hope for peace in Europe.